petty, petty. Most of these bitches is 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 petty. Most of these petty. Most of these bitches is petty. 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 Most of these bitches is petty.
Hi guys, what is up? What is good? What is Gucci? It is your girl Petty Paige back at it again with yet another video for you hoes. Okay, I have literally been wanting to make this video for the longest time, but because so much David Dobrik stuff has been happening, I haven't had a chance to really get round to doing this story. So finally, I'm able to get round to this story because we didn't forget about you, James Charles. We did not forget about you. Just because David Dobrik is catching all of the smoke and all of the heat at this moment in time doesn't mean we've forgotten about you, doesn't mean we've forgotten about Shane Dawson, doesn't mean that we've forgotten about Jeffree Star, honey. We are coming back. We're going to circle round to you, and that is where we are at right now. If you guys have not seen my videos on David Dobrik, I will leave those in the information tab on the right hand side of the screen at this very moment and throughout the video. However, today we are going to be talking about James Charles and the quote-unquote Lost Boys. Yes, so the reason that I'm calling these the Lost Boys is because these guys were bullied so hard about speaking their truth about James Charles to the point that they deleted videos and to the point that they privated videos. And because they deleted and privated videos due to the backlash that they received, a lot of people just assumed that they were lying about what had happened to them and that maybe they were just doing this for clout and for views, because one of the people who spoke out about James Charles is a less than reputable individual here on the internet. However, I don't believe that people make these kind of allegations just for shits and giggles and for fun. Even if a person is trying to get clout from this situation, I do believe that there was always somewhere between the lies and the truth that is the actual true story of what happened, which is an extreme amount of imbalance of power. And now that all of these other allegations in regards to James Charles have come forward, their stories pretty much mirror all of the other alleged victims of James Charles. The difference is that these guys were of age. So with that being said, let's get into these two boys from Britain's stories of James Charles. Now, you may or may not know who these two individuals are. One of them is called Touchlight, the other one is called Elmo Films, and they were both members of the former TikTok house Wave House, which I think is like the first British TikTok house to ever be invented. But apparently the house only lasted for about 4 months, and then eventually they were evicted. So it didn't last that long. It was definitely not like a Team 10 era, but they were a part of a Wave House, Hype House, kind of situation. They are super duper well known across TikTok, but the way that I know Elmo Films as well as Touchlight is here on YouTube. They are both British male YouTubers. Now, this whole situation begins on the 11th of May 2019. So basically around the time of the Bi Sisters controversy, where Tati Westbrook shed light on a situation with James Charles being quote-unquote predatory, where Elmo Films, aka Spencer Elmer, posted to his Twitter a DM that he received from James Charles on the 9th of December 2017, and he posted an emoji with a monocle on its eye. Shortly after this, his friend Kami Salito, aka Touchlight, posted, "I love this game," and posted a DM that he had also received from James Charles that says, "You are incredibly good looking." Now, the reason that the stories of these two individuals was not believed is because Touchlight is quite a controversial figure here on YouTube. He has made waves, if you will. Oh my god, Wave House, Wave, I get it. But he's made waves, if you will, across social media for quote-unquote promoting incest with his videos where he pretends to kiss his sister, who is also a former member of Wave House, who is called Millie T. He used to make these kind of videos frequently, and it would make people super duper uncomfortable on social media. Also, he did a challenge where he decided to take a bath in bleach, and people were really concerned that with this challenge that he started, the other people who wanted clout might try and take baths in bleach also. It was just, he's definitely a clout chaser, 120% a clout chaser. It's in his blood. So I understand why everybody on social media was showing a level of discernment when it came to listening to Touchlight's story, because at this point, if he's lying about incest, what else wouldn't he lie about? Anyway, with that being said, on the 14th of May 2019, Touchlight posted a video to his YouTube titled "My Experience Dating James Charles," and this is what he had to say.
I'm going to be telling you guys a story about my experience with James Charles. I didn't want to make this video purely because I feel like once this is up, me and James are no longer going to be friends. I honestly don't think I'm that bothered anymore. We weren't the closest of friends, but when I talk about this, it makes us seem more than friends, which is why I probably put dating in the title. Frick, this is so difficult. Okay, so let's throw it back to last year. Me and the Social Climbers, which are my friendship group, went down to LA for about 3 weeks. The reason we actually went to LA was for an event called VidCon. I ended up going to the after parties. At the party, I obviously ended up speaking to James Charles, and this is where it gets weird. This is where like the story begins. The actual reason me and James ended up speaking was because he was constantly staring at me at this after party. Obviously, that's quite intimidating. Like, someone with that many millions of subscribers and stuff is going to be intimidating, especially when they're just staring you out the whole party. I'm not gonna lie, it did kind of make me uncomfortable, just because, like, what was he staring at? Like, was I doing something? Did he know who I was? I'm super drunk at this party, and I obviously had the confidence to go up to James Charles and speak to him and ask him why he was actually staring at me the whole night. I would never ever have done this sober. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pussy sober, but like, get me a few drinks and I'm literally a different person. I go over to him, and at this point he was also with Emma frickin' Chamberlain. So I walk over to James Charles and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? My name's Carmi, nice to meet you." And James is in shock. Like, his face like goes like that, like, and I was thinking, frick, have I actually just ruined my chances of ever being friends with them? And then he goes, "Hi, I'm James." We ended up speaking for about 30 minutes, and this is where it gets juicy. So me and James are speaking, and we end up exchanging numbers, and he gets my Instagram, and he gets my Twitter. The one thing I did find kind of weird was, like, he asked for my number, and then suddenly asked for my Twitter and Instagram, and I was like, that's kind of crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, I was obviously super gassed that he asked to follow me that quickly. I just thought he was being friendly. Like, I didn't think anything of this. I thought, like, wow, like, I'm literally about to be friends with James Charles. It's gonna be so lit. And then I guess it just goes like downhill from there. I'm gonna post the first DM he actually sent me on Instagram, because I did actually screenshot the DM when he first sent me, because obviously back then, like, I was super gassed. I was like, I can't believe he just messaged me, what the frick. And here's also proof that he follows me on Twitter, which you can actually search yourself. Like, that's where things started to go awkward. He obviously kept, I'm not gonna lie, like, he kept asking me like really weird questions. He basically was hitting me with the questions being like, "So, how long have you been gay for?" Like, stuff like that. I'm not actually gay, so when he asked me that, I felt really awkward, and at the time I obviously knew nothing about him liking straight guys. That wasn't a thing back then. Like, I guess it was, but they were not my intentions. I didn't know James that well. Like, I knew who he was. I watched a couple of his videos. I'm not really into beauty videos, I'm not gonna lie. And when he asked me this question, I kind of froze and was like, I like laughed in his face and was like, "Wait, are you being serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, how long have you been gay for?" And I'm like, like, I'm not actually gay. And then he hits me with the, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, I think so. Things got very awkward after that moment, and I've seen a couple videos of guys that have recently been in scandals with him. To say that I relate to them is the weirdest shit ever. Like, I would never put me with James Charles in the same sentence. Shit got awkward. I'm not gonna lie, he was very off with me, and I guess I got so awkward that I said, "I don't know if I'm into guys. I had never tried anything with guys. Like, how am I even supposed to know?" It felt like he was reading a script of like why all straight men can be gay. Shit confused the frick out of me. I've never actually met someone so upfront, and it made me super uncomfortable. But then after all of that happened, I met up with my friends and I told them what happened, and their reactions were very interesting. They all they wanted me to date him, and that made it even worse. The reason I never never actually saw him again was because I stopped speaking to him after a while because I was like, this isn't for me. I don't want to feel like I'm leading someone on. And obviously I was back in London and he's back in LA. But I just knew if I ended up flying out, something would have happened between me and him, like for sure. Because I'm pretty sure I would have had to stay at his, and I don't even want to think about it. It makes me so uncomfortable to think about, and yeah, that's just not what I want to be doing. But yeah, all I can really say is everything I've been hearing about James and everyone opening up about it, like, it really does make sense to me. I don't know, I can't put it into words how I feel right now. I do just feel a bit shit. He was a friend, or maybe something more than a friend, like, I don't know. It's such an uncomfortable situation, and yeah.
So yeah, once again we have another straight boy who James Charles is trying to convince that they weren't straight, and the synergy that I see with this story alongside a bunch of other stories that have come out about James Charles, especially specifically pertaining to straight guys, it is absolutely crazy. And yes, this is not a reputable person, and yes, this is an individual who has caused a bunch of controversy for clout on social media, but it doesn't mean that when he puts himself forward as an alleged victim that we shouldn't have our ears open to listen. There is a lot of people at this very moment in time that I feel deserve to give this young man an apology. I also think another part of the issue is that Touchlight on social media, his branding essentially is the sarcastic British guy, so nobody really takes him seriously as well when he speaks about things in a truthful and honest manner, because they don't know if he's just being deadpan and they don't know if he's just being sarcastic. But there are so many videos, and even videos that are on social media to this day, that are calling Touchlight a liar. When now, if we look at all of the other allegations that have come out about James Charles, it's pretty obvious he probably wouldn't be lying about this. Moving on, there is another person who is from Britain who had a similar situation with James Charles, questioning his sexuality and all of that stuff. And this is Touchlight's friend, who was also a part of Wave House, as I said earlier, and this is Elmo Films. Elmo Films also went on the trip to VidCon, and he had a similar experience. However, his video has been privated off his channel. For the life of me, I've searched high and low for days and days and days, and I have not been able to find the original video, but I have been able to find clips of the video. So obviously there's a level of research you may have to do into this yourself, but he also had some stuff to say about James Charles at the time, and this is what he had to say in a bunch of mashed up clips. I apologize.
I was 17. The guy messaged me. Yeah, he messaged me. Not just me, half of my friendship group. It was very obvious that I was straight. His power is so large, it made me feel so small, as if I should kind of sway towards just going along with it. But this feeling of intimidation was the only thing I can grasp from. Weird sort of awkward looks made me feel like I just felt so awkward. Why is he picking small influences to prounce upon? The reason why I've actually come out and spoke about this today is because I feel like it needs to be spoken about from someone that experienced it even a little bit. The only reason I kind of went there was because of the power and the pressure and the intimidation that I felt. How are you going to message a 17-year-old? It's so intimidating when such a big star or someone with 16 million followers, you know, messages you. You feel almost inclined and intimidated not to ignore it.
I remember watching Elmo's video at the time that it came out, and I apologize that I don't have the video at this moment in time, but as you can see from these clips, there was definitely an imbalance of power. There was definitely intimidation being used and utilized against him, and once again, this is another straight individual who felt like they were inclined just to go along with things just because it was James Charles. I feel like, especially now that we know of the stories of the minors who have come forward, as well as the other straight people it is that James Charles has had a history with, which, if you don't know about that, I made an entire video documenting literally everything that James Charles has had allegation wise in regards to him and straight people, or in regards to him and minors on social media. I will definitely link that video in the description box as well as in the information tab. But if you watch that video and you watch this video, you will see that there is a synergy that is happening between all of these men. These men can't all be telling the same story over and over again. I feel like at some point we have to acknowledge that there might be a level or a degree of truth to this. And something interesting that actually happened shortly after was that once Kami, aka Touchlight, posted his video, which was the one that got the most views at the time, one of Kami's friends who was also at the VidCon after party, they had received a DM directly from James Charles, allegedly asking them to tell Kami to take the video down. If you've got nothing to hide, why would you want that video down? I don't know, just something just isn't sitting right for me. I don't know, I just feel as if we do not act now, if we don't do something about this, if we don't tell YouTube that this is not acceptable, that we are going to get a situation now where James Charles will be so hyper-focused on not being caught out with this kind of stuff that we'll never hear another allegation again. And I genuinely think, although that is an awesome thing, what justice does that actually serve to the alleged victims of James Charles so far? So many people have said they're uncomfortable. So many people have said that they've felt some kind of way about him. So many straight people have said that, you know, he's somewhat encouraged them to think that possibly that they are gay, or that, you know, at least that they are sexually fluid in some way. And I feel like we need to do something, because at this moment in time, we have David Dobrik, who has literally lost every single sponsor that he has ever had, as well as becoming completely demonetized by YouTube. And this is a win, because this is somebody who has enabled predatory behavior. But then we have an actual predator with actual allegations, with actual federal crimes and offenses, specifically against minors, and literally nothing is being done. I'm sick of him being YouTube's golden boy, and that's just true tea. And James Charles no longer being the host of Instant Influencer honestly is not enough to me. But the one thing that I did see on social media when I was making the comparison of social media's reaction to James Charles versus social media's reaction to David Dobrik is somebody actually said in the comments that the difference is with the David Dobrik situation is that this is corroborated with a hell of a lot of witnesses who can also give their testimony when it comes to the allegations put against the Vlog Squad at this present moment. Whereas with James Charles, it's just individual victims on their own, trying their best to get justice. And it's like their lone voice isn't enough. But when there's so many lone voices, when will enough be enough? That's the question. Anyway, that is about it from me. I just wanted to give my thoughts on the lost boys of James Charles allegations. I'm sure that they aren't the only people who have been bullied or forced or put into a corner to the point that they don't have their videos or don't have their testimonies online at this moment in time. But I just wanted to make sure that people who did have a voice were not forgotten. If there is anybody else that you think did not get their chance to tell their story to the best of their ability and you want them showcased here on my channel, definitely send me a message either on Instagram or Twitter or something of the like, because I'm not done with James Charles. I will not let this go. And that is the God's honest truth. Anyway, with that being said, if you like the video, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't, I don't give a shit anyway. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification with the bell so that you guys get a notification every single time that Petty Paige posts new content. I don't know what my next story is going to be. I haven't really figured that out. So also, if you have any other stories that you'd like for me to cover, let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, you amazing, beautiful, badass bitches. It's been Paige. Bye!
Most of these bitches is petty.